Oh, here we go. Remake movies that could have been good but weren't, but stay the hell away from the classics. Okay, so here's a question. Last week, Bill, you posited that Forbidden Planet should be remade with modern effects. That frankly appalled me. To me, that would be like remaking Aliens or 2001: A Space Odyssey or any other classic movie. I'd rather the classics were left alone and instead remakes ought to be made out of films that could have been good but weren't. John Carpenter's 1982, The Thing was better than the 1950s original, for example. And okay. First of all, I agree completely that Forbidden Planet is a film that looks like no other. And the hand animation and all those qualities to it are magical. And I'm not calling for the destruction of that movie. The reason I chose Forbidden Planet is because it is such a grand, unbelievable idea. And if you look at the shots, the matte paintings and stuff that they use for the giant Krell underground labs, it's actually kind of poor. When I said I think it should be remade, I really meant it from a visual point of view. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So I had never read Lord of the Rings, and then I went to the movies and I saw Fellowship of the Ring. Well, that was absolutely incredibly good. And so I read The Two Towers and Return of the King before I saw the movies. So, didn't see anything, saw a movie, read the book, then read the second book, then read the third book before the second and third movies came out. And so, for Two Towers and Return of the King, I had in my imagination a pretty good idea of what these places look like, and Tolkien does a tremendous job of sketching in all the details and all the rest of it. And when I saw the movies, I was amazed at how much more there was in there than what I could imagine, because you're talking about 100 of the most talented artists and visualization guys in the world, all putting stuff into the same pot, and somebody presumably there, if it was a good movie, chucking out the least of the good ones and keeping the ones that really mattered. And it just seems to me that the Krell base and the whole idea is it's just one of the best plots ever. It's just one of the best plots ever. But I think let me put it to you this way. The reason I went with Forbidden Planet is when I saw Fellowship of the Rings, and it got better and better and better, and then they entered Moria, and there's that first shot when they come into the giant hall in Moria, and they're holding, Gandalf's got his little glowing thing at the end of his staff, and you look up, and just the magnitude of how huge it was. That's I think that's an experience that can be improved on, and I don't think you're going to be losing. I don't think there's a lot of people watching the original one. Many people have pointed out how influential Forbidden Planet is. That's why I think I'd like to see it remade. A couple people have mentioned how influenced by it Gene Roddenberry was. Well, yeah, Star Trek is Forbidden Planet on TV. You got it's very, very similar in a lot of ways. And so was Lost in Space. You look at Forbidden Planet had a saucer, Lost in Space had a saucer. Forbidden Planet had this kind of gyroscopic thing in the middle that was all the navigation stuff, and so did Lost in Space. And then these guys look kind of like Starfleet, and they've got phasers, and it's great. But the plot of Forbidden Planet is just brilliant. It's a brilliant reversal. It's a great reversal. You don't see it coming, and then it becomes really horrifying. And what you could do with the visual effects on that movie, in service of the plot. Look, I guess the thing that we're not really disagreeing. I'm not arguing for a second that Forbidden Planet needs to be remade, but if it was remade by somebody who loved what they were doing and had some skill, it could be really, really, really something. And there are some movies that are that are not very good movies that could be remade into better ones. And I'll tell you this, there's some science fiction stories out there that have never been made into movies, and I don't understand why. I was thinking about this, I want to say 3-4 days ago. Two, two of the, I think, the best science fiction stories I ever read in terms of plot, not so much characters. He's not a real character guy. But in terms of plot and twist and scope and meaning and all of those things that count, these two stories I think would make extraordinary movies. Yes, Dave Big Booty gets one of them. Rendezvous with Rama is one, and the other one is Childhood's End, both of which by Arthur C. Clarke. And Childhood's End has nearly been made so many times, but it never has been. I don't know what the problems with the rights are to Childhood's End or Rendezvous with Rama, but those are two Arthur C. Clarke novels that are absolutely mind-bogglingly great. And Rendezvous with Rama is about an alien, not an alien ship, an alien space colony arrives in the solar system and uses the sun as a gravity assist or something. And it's only accessible for a month and a half or something like that. And they send a team to this thing, and they have to explore a ship that's the size of a small planet. And all of the technology, they were not expecting to be boarded by humans, it's just a great adventure story. I think it'd make a spectacular movie. Childhood's End, somebody here mentioned that they didn't like it, and somebody, Aesop says it looked too satanic. Yeah, that's the point. Well, what the hell? I mean, it's either you've read it by now or you haven't, I guess. So, spoiler alert, here it comes. I'm going to talk about about Childhood's End for a moment. Childhood's End is about starts with a race of creatures coming to Earth. They're far, far advanced beyond us, and they put their giant flying saucers over every one of the cities. It was made as a miniseries. That surprises me. I didn't even hear of it. I bet it was awful. But basically what happens is you have these aliens, and these aliens arrive, and they basically say, we're here, we're not hostile, but things like bullfighting is going to have to stop. They basically, like the parents came into the room. And then they basically said, we will not reveal ourselves for how long was it? 20 years, 10 years, 50 years, something like that. The shock of it is so and so forth, and we're not going to reveal our presence. We're going to stay here, but we will not reveal our presence until 50 years from today or whatever the number was. So there's a human liaison guy, 50 years, yeah. Human liaison guy who works with the head of the aliens. The aliens are called overlords. And he works with the leader of the overlords named Corellin, I think. And they work together for 25, 30 years. And these overlords live a long, long time. And the human is getting older, and it's, and it's clear he's not going to make it to the 50-year period. So the human guy, who's been working with this guy for 25 or 30 years, dying of curiosity, burning with a curiosity, he's worked with him for 25 years, has no idea what he looks like, puts together a briefcase that's got like a strobe light, because Corellin has always been behind this kind of two-way mirror thing, a screen where nobody could see him, but he could see out. And at the very, very end of it, he runs up, at the end of this meeting, runs up, puts it on there, pushes the flash, and just to see, and as the thing flashes, he just gets a glimpse of the figure leaving the room. And he's convinced that Corellin did it on purpose, that he knew he was going to do this. So he let him get away with it, let him have his wish of seeing what was there. Anyway, what he saw leaving the room was Satan. It was a red-skinned, horned, tailed, winged, gigantic creature who looked exactly like Satan. And I think, if I recall correctly, Clarke said that basically these overlords had been here before, and somehow that image of them had gotten put into the collective unconscious, and that it became part of a human sort of combined memory, and that for all of human history, humans have taught themselves that this kind of a creature is the embodiment of evil. And so now these aliens come to Earth and they have to kind of reveal themselves. And it turns out they all look like devils. It's a great reversal. It's a great story. He gets to go to somebody else gets to go to the Overlord planet and all the rest of it. Somebody's talking about Footfall. Is that the name of the book? The book with those elephant creatures, and when you, where the Earth is saved by a team of combat science fiction writers. That was actually a pretty good story too. All right, we'll do one more, and then I'm going home.